On the surface, there's not much interesting about the small village of Kitayama. Today, its population is around 400, down from a peak of maybe 2,000 people. About all that you can say about it is that it's an exclave. Despite being part of Wakayama Prefecture, it's entirely surrounded by neighboring Nara and Mie prefectures. And yet, like just about anywhere in Japan, if you look hard enough, you'll turn up something. Like Kitayama's relationship to a centuries-old civil war, and how that civil war is indirectly linked to the September 11th attacks. How's that for a teaser? Starting in the 12th century, Japan spent almost 700 years under military rule. At the end of the Genpei War, the head of the powerful Minamoto clan forced the emperor to recognize him as military leader, or shogun, of Japan. The emperors during this period were powerless. However, in 1331, the Emperor Go-Daigo decided that he would like to be in charge, actually, and plotted to restore the throne to its former glory. The emperor courted the alliance of Ashikaga Takeuji, a powerful member of the military government, and he sent his son, Prince Moriyoshi, south to the Kumano region. Prince Moriyoshi won the allegiance of powerful local lords like Takehara Hachiro, and the emperor's coalition successfully toppled the government. Go-Daigo had made himself ruler of all Japan, but his reign was unsuccessful and brief. He did not reward those who had fought for him against the previous regime, and instead appointed Prince Moriyoshi as shogun over his ally Ashikaga, which, in fairness to the emperor, is generally how monarchies work. Even after Go-Daigo had proclaimed himself and his son in charge, Ashikaga acted as though he had absolute authority. And when Ashikaga decided that he would like to be in charge, actually, he had the warriors and the common folk on his side. Ashikaga had the young Prince Moriyoshi arrested and executed. He then proclaimed a relative of Go-Daigo's as the new emperor of what history now calls the Northern Court. Go-Daigo, in response, fled south and set up a rival court, the Southern Court, in modern-day Yoshino. If you want to know how well this went, let me tell you that the next several hundred years of Japanese history is sometimes called the Ashikaga period, and that Yoshino is famous not for its imperial palace, but for its cherry blossoms. Go-Daigo stubbornly maintained that he was the true emperor until his death. The exiled emperor was buried with his body facing north, forever looking towards the imperial throne in Kyoto, but forever separated from it. His successors in the Southern Court continued their quixotic campaign for another 50 years before giving in. And this is where things get interesting. The Southern Court ended in abject failure, and the current imperial family is descended from the Northern Court emperors. However, in the official reckoning of imperial history, it's the Northern Court emperors who are considered to be pretenders, and Go-Daigo's failed Southern Court emperors, who were the true, powerless, rulers of Japan. There are complex and boring reasons for this, but it's a decision that casts long shadows. Let's jump ahead about 600 years to 1946, and meet a shop owner named Kumazawa Hiromichi. Kumazawa claimed to be the direct descendant of Southern Court Emperor Go-Daigo, and therefore the rightful ruler of Japan. And he had a family tree going back 24 generations to prove it. He got a great deal of publicity by calling the recently de-deified Emperor Hirohito a war criminal, and he eventually unsuccessfully sued the emperor for his rightful place on the throne. Kumazawa died in 1966, and the current reigning Southern Court emperor, as far as I can tell, is Kumazawa Hidehito, who was a catcher for the Hiroshima Carp in the 80s. Kumazawa's claim to the chrysanthemum throne, however, lives on in one of the more bizarre corners of the internet I've ever seen. Now, what I'm about to tell you comes from a website with articles like Meditations on the Tantric Grail, and pull quotes like Alpha to Omega with a recurring lunar conspiracy. So make of that what you will. But, allegedly, an American living in Kyoto named W. David Kubiak had a chance encounter with one of Emperor Kumazawa's sons in the 80s. And over the years, he has come to interpret Emperor Go-Daigo as a kind of Taoist messiah. That's my take on it, though admittedly, I read through most of his site with my third eye closed. He ran for mayor of Kyoto in the 90s on a platform of direct democracy, jury trials, and awareness of the idea that eating soy suppresses testosterone. That's not a joke. And according to his LinkedIn page, Kubiak is also the former executive director of a 9/11 truther organization. Remember how this whole story started with a 14th century civil war? History is amazing sometimes.